Hello friends, welcome back to the bench. Thank you very much for joining me. Our patient is a key fob from Mercedes. This is the one with triangular panic button. So these usually have lower success rate. Description of the issue, well, there's not much to it, right? It either works or it doesn't work, right? The customer said that neither the radio nor infrared is working. And he replaced the battery and it didn't help, so it's not a battery issue. Now first, let's see if all the buttons are clickable. Now you want to check that. That's not 100% because it still could be, the button could still be faulty. But one way they fail is when we get a short on the button, right? Because that's the only part that is exposed, right? Only interactive part that is exposed. If you obviously, you keep this in your pocket, in your wallet and stuff. Sometimes you sit on it, sometimes it drops and all kinds of stuff. So if the button shorts out and it's constantly pressed, then the battery essentially dies a lot quicker. Then you replace the battery, you put the new battery in, and you're clicking and nothing works because it's essentially kind of like locked up in a weird state. The second, I don't remember actually if they have oscillators, but I think they do. That's for pretty much any like remotes, right? If your remote drops, usually that happens and it stops working. That's usually quartz that's gonna break, right? Or crack, the board might crack, the component might fall off and stuff like that. But crystal oscillators, they don't like being dropped, and I'm pretty sure there is a crystal in this one. If it is, because it doesn't necessarily have to be, it can be in the integrated in the chip, and it's been a while since I worked on these, and I didn't actually even check my last video when I was repairing this, and so we're gonna have to reevaluate it. So first, let's open it. How do we open it? The key is the physical key is missing because obviously we don't need it, but usually you just remove the key and you insert it here, right? Push on the plastic there, right? A little click and it pops off, right? And you have access to the battery. So let's see. First, let's do a little visual. Let's put some more light over here. So we got higher the FPS. 315 megahertz, made in Germany. Course. Yeah, it's always gonna see some, some dirt, some gunk and stuff like that. Let's see on this side. Yeah, there's some gunk and stuff. We can clean that. Yeah, let's do a little cleaning over here. Yeah, I'm gonna have to use some, I'm not sure what, probably IPA, because some of this gunk is way in there. Yeah, crusty. Could that be a problem? Again, if the button is stuck, then yeah, well, we're gonna test it. It doesn't seem stuck to me, so I think it's gonna be fine. Sometimes it's the corrosive substance that will just kind of get inside there. They resist moisture, and we can use it in the rain and usually nothing happens to it. But sometimes it's not the moisture that kills it, it's the acidity. And that, there is, back in the day, I used to do, I used to primarily work in like graphics and stuff, right? So one thing that we would do was prints on the pens. you know, like ball pen, little plastic cheap pens. And you could think that if you use some special paint, because obviously we would, it can't be too aggressive because you're printing on plastic, right? But you don't want it to just you know, be removed of the pen, you know, after just scratching it, you know, just moving your finger across the pen. You don't want to remove that, right? But when I do it, it stays on. But a friend of mine just happens to have different pH of his sweat, and he moves the across the pen, and the print just goes away, you know. So sometimes it's really unexpected, the results, you know. So sometimes you might damage the remote because the pH of your sweat is too acidic or too alkaline, whatever, and you know, and the remote just doesn't want to work for you, and it's because of your fingers, essentially. Um, okay, let's see if the battery is good. The battery is at 2.89. The battery is dead. I mean, it works enough. 2.8, the remote should work on 2.8, but the battery is dead. So what happened there? The customer said that he replaced the battery. But did you replace the battery with the new battery that you unpacked and not from the dollar store? Battery produced 6 years ago? Or you replaced it with the battery you thought was new, but isn't? Okay, so now let me grab the battery. It's 2025, right? 2025. Okay, so I don't remember where I get this one. Hopefully not from the dollar store. 2013, 2023, February. We have 2026, so it's a little bit old, but it should do. Let's check the voltage on it. Yeah, and this battery doesn't look new. Compare new battery to this one, right? This one looks like an old battery. So did you replace the battery, but then you put the old battery back in? Maybe that's what happened. It's possible. Let's see. So this one is showing at 3.32. Okay, so that's a full battery. But I kind of wonder. Well, we need to test it, right? So we're gonna put a new battery in, and we have to do a little trick because I lost my battery tester. I'm pretty sure I know where it is. It's in southern Georgia, so I don't have it here. But what is the tester for, right? Because we're not gonna catch my tester doesn't work on 315 megahertz. It's those old remotes working on, I don't remember, like 27 megahertz, something like that. So much lower frequency. So it wouldn't really help us anyway. So it doesn't matter. I mean, it would help us because we so over here we have an infrared, right? That's how you turn on the car. Once you insert this key in, it starts communicating with the car using this infrared over here. And it is encrypted. So, you know, to copy the key or to clone the key, you need to have a key for your key. Yes, it's ridiculous, but it's Mercedes, you know. You can afford Mercedes, you can afford ridiculousness that Mercedes does. So instead, I just quickly built this. So this is essentially the IR diode, right? It's a receiver essentially, right? And we use LM 393 with the noise resistor over here to adjust the sensitivity, right? And we give it 5 volts. Then switch the polarity because I don't have any more of these. Now yeah, because it's pretty sensitive and I want to keep it sensitive, so I just protect it like this so I don't have interference. Because this will start blinking just from a regular light. There's a little bit of infrared everywhere. And of course, you know, from the outside, the sun is a full spectrum, so there's infrared as well. That is actually the wavelength responsible for heat. Let's turn it on. There. So LED is lit up. Let's reduce the light so our FPS went way down, but that way we can see the LED much better. And let's test it with Roku remote. There. It's blinking, right? When I press. It looks weird on the camera now because we have low frame rate, because I switched to a automatic sensitivity. Yeah, you see, it's working perfectly. Let's see, one button, the trunk. Oh, the trunk, no, the trunk also. It's kind of hard to aim it, but if I remove this, we're gonna get a lot of interference, as you see. Let me just make it shorter, maybe like this. Yeah, so that's unlock, that's lock, and that is trunk. Yeah, the trunk just sends one pulse, looks like. Yeah, unlock, and let's see, panic. Yeah, panic also sends just like couple pulses. Yeah, and the trunk also. That is not what I expected. Yeah, this is definitely working remote. But once you replace the battery, it's non-working remote. Have you guys seen anything like this before? I'm gonna have to go to the store. Oh no, there you go. That's a new battery. We're working. Yeah. The trunk doesn't emit anything, but that's normal if I remember correctly. Yeah. Panic button is working. Well, when you hold down, when you hold down trunk, okay. So the trunk works too. You just have to hold it down and then it blinks. Like, so if I do click 1, 2, about second and a half. But when I click on the open, it flashes. So why did it not work just a second ago? What is the problem here? Is there a problem here? Okay, so I'm not sure, because I don't know why once I replaced the battery with the new one, why did I not see it working? But it could be related to my setup over here. That's why I should be using, you know, the actual tester, but we have what we have, right? So now it's on the new battery, and as you can see, the open works perfectly fine, close works perfectly fine, the trunk beeps, and the panic beeps. So all buttons are working, infrared is working. I can test the radio. Well, I mean, this, could I test the radio? 315 megahertz. We could do a loop antenna and tune it with a capacitor, but I don't think that's our problem over here. So why did it not work before? Why does it work now? One thing that might happen from time to time, that there's too much gunk on this panel over here. I'm not sure if that was the issue, but I did have the issue with this at one point. Family member also has the key fob like this, and and my microphone died. I don't know when exactly. So let me just quickly recap. So I don't open these until I have to, because once I open them, they are no longer sealed. So I don't want to break the seal on this one because it's working after the battery replacement, and even before the battery replacement it still worked, but at 2.8 volts that's a dead battery. So most likely, you know, there was poor communication. That's why. Now there's going to be a decent communication, right? Second, just clean the receptacle in the car, because that might be an issue as well. I'm gonna do a little more cleaning on my side over here, right, just to ensure that everything is perfectly clean. But it looks to me like this was only a battery replacement issue. So it could be that you just thought you were replacing it with the new battery, but you actually replaced it with old battery. Maybe. I mean, it happens, right? If you don't have the actual, you know, multimeter and tools and stuff, then yeah, sometimes it's kind of a guessing game. But yeah, for that reason, I really don't want to open it, because, you know, it's not gonna look exactly the same anymore. I mean, it'll work the same, but, you know, even if I put some like UV mask and stuff, UV glue, UV curable glue, it's not the same level of the seal that you have right now. So I would advise against it. But that's what we're gonna do, because where are you from? Oh, I threw away the label. Let's see. This was order number 21. 21? Ticket 21? Really? I thought the latest tickets were like 150, something like that. Might be mistaken. Oh, I know what it is. It's a ticket in the queue, right? Ticket 21. Yes, sir. Okay. So now we can match you by email. Okay, you're in Minnesota. So not super close, but also not Alaska or Washington State. Yeah, that's what we're gonna do. So according to my bench tests, it works perfectly fine. The battery that was there was dead. You have a new battery now, and the remote is working. So I'm gonna ship it back and give it a test. If it still doesn't work, well, we're gonna go from there if it still doesn't work, because it might not be a remote issue, right? How many of these you have? Sometimes people have only one. Usually the car comes with two, but you know, if you lost one along the way, then these are the older ones that so this is gonna be, you know, like maybe 2014, 2015. It's not gonna be like 2025 or 2022 model. It's gonna be something a little older. So there's a possibility that this is the only one. But can you start the car without this? Just with the key? I'm not sure. Not to my knowledge. Because that's the whole thing. They're encrypted, so you can't steal the car with the copy of the key or stuff like that. Alrighty, that's what we're gonna do. So this is essentially the easiest repair of this year so far. Probably the easiest repair of a few years. Replaced battery. Crazy. But it happens. You know, misdiagnosing happens all the time. Alrighty, thank you guys very much for joining me today. Have a lovely day, and I shall see you guys in the next one.